Warning. The Drag In Between podcast may contain language and adult humor that is unsuitable for those 13 years and younger. Viewer discretion is advised. You're listening to the Drag In Between podcast, a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign that takes place in the Eberron pulp fantasy setting created by Keith Baker. New episodes are recorded every Sunday and are released on the following week. You can find the video version on the YouTube channel, and if you like what you see and hear, feel free to drop us a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter for updates and news on the podcast. Thank you for listening, and now on with the show. When the characters last met, Laethana and Eli had separated from the group for a while, following their now mortal friend Zephyr away from Gutterguts. The former Ginny shared disturbing graffiti that he had discovered all over Heartham, written in deep speech. The writing appeared to paint an unfavorable picture on the samurai and referenced the speakers, the spiritual leaders of the two cults. Zephyr then offered to catalog all of the graffiti spread throughout Heartham for the group while they attended to other matters.
The duo then took their leave from Zephyr and traveled to the marketplace to purchase magical items from the local artificer Nasri Sleejak. After trading items and spending coin on potions and weapons, the group were reunited as Red, Music, and Zeedo passed through the market. While pondering on their next action, the characters took a short rest just behind the shop.
As the group caught each other up on the deep speech graffiti and magic bean encounter, a stranger revealed itself floating in the air, not too far away. The individual introduced itself as Lorvex, and immediately asked for Eli to follow it to Danvi, the very manifestation of law in the plains. The group were reluctant at first, but then finally agreed to follow their wizard friend.
Lorvex then cast Plane Shift, and the characters found themselves deposited within the Hall of Justice, the judicial seat of Danvi. Eli then discovered that he was required to give a deposition to a tribunal consisting of Lorvex, an angel, and a devil. During the proceedings, the group learned that Eli's father, Thorin Stormbringer, was alive and had committed crimes against Danvi, stealing an artifact and forbidden knowledge from the Infinite Archive. The Danvian artifact was revealed to be the special arcane focus Eli had found on his airship, and had used to make useful items to help the group.
After finishing his deposition, Eli surrendered the creation cube to the court, and the group were free to go. The party then deliberated on their next move, traveling away from the Hall of Justice. Eli and Zeedo made plans to work on crafting projects while Laethana, Red, and Music headed off to the Infinite Archive to perform research.
Upon arriving at the Endless Archive, the party learned that they would be required to petition for access and select a researcher. The characters then began the long process of filling out the appropriate forms and attempting to obtain vital information from the Danvian Archive.
And I just realized that I've been playing audio already this whole entire time. Whoopsie. So I'll restart it. Eli and Zeedo. As you've been walking through the streets of Danvi, a bit lost, this metropolis of celestials and fiends and constructs milling about you, you find an odd cube-shaped creature which is aloft on wings, metallic wings, which is flying straight towards the two of you. And it stops within a few feet of you, and it appears to be holding what looks like a staff of some sort. and then the staff has a marking which is very similar to the marking that was on your hand at one time, Eli. And it holds it out in front of you too and says,
Hello.
Hello?
I have a message for Eli Stormbringer.
Zeedo's gonna
Eli?
point up to Eli. That's Eli.
Hi there. I'm 01. I've been instructed by Lorvex to help facilitate your hunt for an appropriate location to build your projects.
Ah, okay, very nice, okay. And where would that be?
My master has instructed me to direct you to a tavern called the World Serpent Inn, and has asked that you speak to an immortal called Mitchifer.
Well, lead the way. I will follow.
and the little cube-like creature, which is clearly a construct of some sort. It is constructed, from what you can tell, mostly of metal, and it has these wings that stick out, radiate out from the left and right side of its body. And you watch as they flutter like a hummingbird or a dragonfly. And it says, "This way!" And it begins to zip along in an S pattern in front of you.
Eli will follow.
Zeedo will follow as well.
Okay. And this little creature takes you on a long journey through the streets of Donby, again, passing what you can assume are apartment buildings or businesses of various shapes and sizes, spires stretching up into the sky above you. And eventually you come across a section of a street corner which looks strikingly familiar. The ground around Donby seems to be made of some sort of almost a pearlescent alabaster or marble. But at this particular street corner, the alabaster and marble seems to fade away into a familiar cobblestone. And the cobblestone seems to be generated and spread around a large building. And once you arrive at the building, you can see now there's a few individuals that are milling in and out of it. This appears to be a tavern of some sort. You can see a few folk who are sort of swaying drunkenly, passing in and out of the place. And above the lintel, above the top of the doors, it's these two massive double doors. You can see now a section sticking straight out, which looks like a long, curled serpent with its mouth open and fangs bared. And you can see hanging from its chin a set of two chains which are holding a wooden sign that's swaying gently back and forth. And you can see written in common, it says World Serpent's Inn. And the little Modron now gestures towards the place and says,
This is it. I will take my leave unless you have questions.
Who am I supposed to talk to in here?
Mitchifer, he owns the place.
The owner, Mitchifer.
Yes.
All right,
He's a jolly, large man with a white, long beard. You can't miss him.
Mitchifer, right?
Mitchifer, yes.
All right, thank you.
Don't say his name too many times. He might charge you for it.
and the little strange amalgamation of a creature that resembles a square with a face on it, and with two little squat legs dangling from the bottom, a set of squat arms on the left and right side with the wings, salutes the two of you with this little tiny little staff with the Hall of Justice or Donvian mark on it, and bows, hovering and bobbing in the air, and begins to fly away.
Well, I guess Zeedo, here it is.
Zeedo's gonna enter the world serpent.
You're entering the inn?
Yes.
Yeah, I walk with Zeedo as well.
Okay. As you enter into this place, you can see now that it is an absolutely raucous and rowdy establishment. There are creatures of various types and creatures that you have never seen before. Some you recognize, some you do not. And you can see various diminutive, what look like halflings or gnomes. Most of them appear to be female, and they're wearing these skin-tight dresses with a snakeskin pattern, almost as if they're made of snakeskin.
Zeedo, what do you think we should look for Mitchifer?
And as you pass through the double doors, leading past the coat rooms into this large chamber that seems to resemble one of many standard common rooms of a tavern. You see plank floors underfoot, wooden beams crisscrossing overhead, and the entire common room is illuminated by these scattered, fluted pillars that seem to possess their own glow at the top. And there's a large shaft of light at the center over the bar. And the bar itself is a circular bar, which seems to float in the air a bit. And you can see a series of steps that lead up to it. And you can see individuals of various types and shapes and sizes, which seem to be walking on a thin cloud. You're also noticing that the entire air within this place, even though it's rowdy and loud and bustling with movement and sound, there is this sort of a blue mist that seems, a haze that seems to hang in the air like smoke. And once you both enter this place and it fills your lungs, you both immediately feel calmer.
What up, dude? What up?
And it's very, very sweet smelling.
Zeedo, have I ever told you how much I value you?
No, I believe you haven't, Eli. How much do you value me?
You are a good friend to me. As I breathe in, that stuff's good.
And as you glance around the chamber, that individual that was described to you by 01, you see someone who seems to bear a resemblance to that person now. Behind the bar, he's got his arms folded. He is a stocky, thick individual, and he indeed has that that white beard. Also, one of you has an open mic.
Let me see if I can fix that. It's probably me.
No worries. I just heard click, click, click.
And... Turn on push to talk now.
Okay. So you both immediately see this large, boisterous individual. And you just hear him laughing. You got that right, mate. And he seems to have like a, as you continue to look at him, both of you, you see he seems to have like rosy cheeks and a perpetual wide grin. He almost looks like Santa Claus dressed up like a barkeeper.
Well, I think it's him. What do you think, Zeedo?
You can always go and talk to him and see if that's the case. And Zeedo's gonna head up to him. Says, "Excuse me, you wouldn't happen to be Mitchifer, would you?"
Oh, who's asking?
Yes, my name is Zeedo, and this is Eli Stormbringer. We're going to be staying in this place for a few days, and we were told that you might be able to help us work on some projects.
Intriguing. And he starts to scratch his beard and tug on it, and the hairs in his beard are moving. Some of them in various clumps seem to be moving away from his fingers as he's tussling his hand through his beard, reaching up to scratch his chin. And as you look a little bit closer, the hairs on his face are not actually hair, but teeny tiny little white snakes. And his eyes are black, jet black, almost like coals. Couple of projects, you and who else?
This man right here, and Zeedo is going to drag Eli's robe so he's closer to Zeedo.
Yes, me, but yes, both of us.
I can certainly be arranged. I just need to know exactly what you're wanting to do. I do offer back rooms to any and all that can be programmed, if you will, to whatever need that you have. Said that you're planning on building something?
Yes, I'm planning on building an iron golem.
Holy shit! An iron golem, you don't say.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, gosh. Don't see one of those every day. Or maybe you do. I never leave this place. Well, I can certainly help you both out with something like that. So you're looking for a room that's suitable for a spellcaster and a tinkerer.
Yes, a big room.
A
Extra
big,
large.
Big workshop. That can be certainly arranged. Obviously, you need to pay for the materials yourself. And I do have a cover charge for the rooms. It will be 100 gold a day.
Yes, I just came from the court. They said they'd cover it.
Did they say that?
I don't seem to remember anyone sending any information my way about that. Do you have any sort of paperwork or documentation to prove that?
No.
Quit being fickle, Eli. We got the money for it.
Fine. Yeah, we'll pay. But the court should pay for this.
Well, that's between you and those Donrians. Now, before we begin to sort out the particulars, I have a few rules for my place, as it can be a bit anarchic here, but we do have rules. And before we do any sort of business, I feel the need to explain them. The food is on the house, the drinks are not. You can leave whenever you're ready. Do not attack or molest the waitstaff. If you must fight with another patron, please do it in the brawling pit. And he now gestures to a 20-foot deep, 10-foot wide, 30-foot long rectangular depression in the floor. And you can see now partially nude, muscular individuals are fighting. They're wrestling in it. And he says, "Oh, one other thing. Management is not responsible for the loss of property or life in the back rooms. Just keep that in mind." Any other questions?
Yes. Where do you get that smoke?
Oh, I use that to keep the crowds pacified. Had a friend a long time ago. Oh gosh, I forget his name. He was a giant caterpillar that had a hookah. And he would use the hookah, or the smoke if you will, to keep folk from attacking him. He would blow the smoke out and it would keep them calm and hospitable.
There any way we can get some extra smoke?
Oh, well, I mean, if you want to try some of the local flavors, there's all manner of folk that you might run into in here that would be able to sell some to you. I personally don't provide that sort of contraband to my folk. Just food and drink.
Sorry. Didn't mean to cause anything.
And he leans in closer. He says, "You're not working for the court, are you? Because if you are, you have to tell me. That's the rule."
I'll lean in close. Me? I would never work for the court.
Good. Fine. So, are we in business?
You have a deal.
Splendid. And he snaps his fingers a few times, and a very voluptuous halfling woman with very, very silky, black, curly hair walks up to you and says, "Yes, sugar? Take these two to one of the back rooms that I have marked for artificers and spellcasters. I take it you already know what you two need to do, what you need to order, what you need for your shop."
Yes, we do. Right, Zeedo?
I know exactly what I need.
All right, well, you give the details to Cassidy here, and she'll get you set up. And the waitress now says, "Do either of you want something to drink or to eat before we get started?"
Just food.
What drinks do you have to offer?
Oh, I have a plethora of wines and ales from all over the multiverse, honey. I assume you two want to get loaded before we begin.
You wouldn't have to have hero's blood, would you?
No, I'm afraid not. Sounds familiar, though.
I'll just have an ale then, and I guess some stew or whatever you're offering for food.
Oh, very well. And she now yells out something that sounds like a series of clicks and yelps out to someone, and you suddenly see a medium-sized ant person. It looks like an anthropomorphic insect that clicks in response and rushes off into another antechamber to this common room, and after a few moments comes rushing back out with something balanced on its thorax as it rushes forward on all of its legs. And you now see a plate with or a platter, if you will, with your drinks and your various foodstuffs that you've ordered. "Marvin will carry it. All you have to do is follow me." And she now gestures to the two of you to follow her towards the outside of the common room, out through a wide passageway and away.
Zeedo will follow.
And eventually, she brings you to a winding pathway that seems to go on forever. It feels like you two are walking for over an hour. And eventually she comes to a stop in this huge vaulted ceiling passageway, huge wide passageway to this door. And she pulls out a long piece of wood and taps it a few times on the side of her thigh. And then a brilliant pink spark of energy begins to coalesce on the end of it. And she draws a sigil in front of the door. And there is this sudden crack the center as the doors begin to split and open up, and you can now see beyond an absolutely beautiful chamber. And then when I say beautiful, I mean it looks like something that you haven't seen since your time back at the Order of Orion, Zeedo. This looks like an artificer's dream.
You can see forges at the ready. You can see little mechanical servants are rushing around, and some of them come now, run up to you, and salute the two of you. And Cassidy looks to you and says, "Well, now, you two just speak to these servants, and they will get started prepping everything that you need." And she pulls out a book now, and she says, "What exactly were you planning on building?"
I am building an iron golem.
Okay, gotcha. And she starts scribbling on the paper. Should be no problem getting what I need. I assume you have the coin, otherwise you would be here.
Oh, of course, I have the coin.
Okay. And you, sir. And she gestures to you, Zeedo.
Yes, I have most of my stuff already, but I still need a focusing lens, a valuable gemstone, preferably a diamond, and some fine wood.
And you can see her with her quill as she's writing very quickly and checking. Got it. I'll have all that ready for you as quick as possible, I promise. Now, in the meantime, if you wish to have some more food and drink and relax and prepare and order around your mechanical servants to get your things ready to go and get started, you can do so. The chambers do provide a place for you two to sleep if you wish to do so as well. The chamber is completely protected magically from any and all invaders, so you'll be perfectly 150% safe within here. Think of this as your home away from home.
Well, perfect. I appreciate it.
And if there's nothing else, if either one of you at any time find that you need anything at all, please call and let me know. My name is Cassidy. We are a full-service tavern.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Zeedo.
That is an extra charge, of course, if you get my meaning.
Eli smirks and looks at Zeedo.
Yeah, Eli only likes the constructs. Sorry.
Oh, we can make an arrangement for that as well. We take all sorts here, sugar.
Thanks, but I'll have to pass on that.
Yeah, we are very good, thank you. And if we need any food or drink, we just holler.
And she now gestures over to the wall, and there's a very long, thick braided rope that is tied at the top. You can see within this vaulted chamber a series of bells. Just give that a tug a few times, and one of us will come running. It'll either be myself or someone else.
Well, I appreciate it. I thank you.
You're so welcome, sir. And once again, welcome to the World Serpent Inn. I hope you enjoy your stay.
Yes, I will.
And you watch as she spins on her heels and begins heading out of the chamber, and as she does, the massive doors begin to seal behind her. And you are alone. You can still hear, it's strange, even though you're within this chamber, you can still hear, it's almost as if the sounds of the tavern outside are amplified within this chamber. And if there's nothing else, we will transition to the rest of the party.
Nope, Zero's gonna get to work.
Okay.
Eli as well.
All right. Red.
Yes.
You have been glancing around, all around you, looking at the fantastical creatures, things that you've never seen before. And you've seen a lot of really odd things in your time. But one of the things that has caught your eye since you've been standing here as Music and Laethana are going over these stacks and stacks of forms in front of this librarian is there are white, winged, four-legged creatures that are high up in the air, just listing lazily in the air above this place. And they seem to resemble a horse with wings stretching out from its midsection, if you will.
Ooh.
I'll go over and tap Laethana on the shoulder. Laethana, this one has seen a lot. Do horses fly? And I'll point up at them.
And Laethana looks up. Oh. Not that I've seen before. Wow, that's beautiful.
You can all roll an Arcana check if you like. Or should I say, one of you can roll and the other one can help.
I guess Laethana will roll.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you can roll with advantage. Laethana, in your travels, you of course have seen Pegasus before. They are celestial creatures. And there are literally a flock of them currently flying around in the air above you. And beyond, staring up in the air, looking at them, you can see beyond the stacks of this archive, which stretch off like skyscrapers, honeycomb skyscrapers that just seem to go off into the distance to the horizon, never ending.
You know, I take that back. I have seen them before. One time on a mission that my Assassin's Guild or whatever sent me on, I once came across a whole field of Pegasus. It was quite, I stopped and watched for a while.
And as you're staring up and conversing with Red, the both of you now hear a very patient but clear sound of someone clearing their throat. As you turn back and you can see now the librarian, which is this robed individual wearing what looks like a ceramic mask, which seems to be attached to nothing, but just light and mist. It's like it's composed of light, and there's a wispy mist that's coming off of the light. And it looks to the two of you and says, "Well now, shall we begin?"
Have we filled out all the forms to your liking?
Well, you haven't filled them out yet.
Okay, never mind. We will start now.
The librarian has explained to you that it will take approximately 1 work week to complete all of the necessary forms.
Maybe, Red, Music, we can take turns going to a tavern to grab food while the others keep working, or sleep shifts.
Music looks at you, and you can see that he wants to say something, but he's digging in his bag, and he holds up his hand, like holds up a finger to you, like, wait a minute. And you can see he's digging, and then he presents a canister, a cylinder, and like presents it out to you, like, ta-da. And he says, he starts to speak. He's like, and he almost seems to be in awe of the floating, robed being of light. And his hands start to tremble a bit. And the individual now says, "Ooh, what's that?" And Music, would you like to describe the snacks that you retrieved from the bakery?
Yes, give me 1 second.
Okay. They are in your inventory.
So I'm getting ready to pull them out because since I don't really eat food, I kind of forgot where they were, but I'm getting ready to pull the jar out right now and show everybody.
Okay. And the librarian seems to be absolutely enwrapped. He just wrapped up in this display as you pull out this metal cylinder. Kind of looks like a cookie jar.
And out of it, I pull out my everlasting pretzels. You are not ready for this, I assure you.
Everlasting pretzels. What are those?
Well, that's self-explanatory. They're pretzels that will just completely outrun your hunger. You eat one of these, you're not going to be hungry again for a long time.
Man, if we just... Oh, go ahead.
Would you care to try one?
Sure. She holds out her hand.
And of course, Music, you are reminded of the fact that one of these rods is essentially suitable for a small army of individuals. You could feed up to 30 people for a day, or it can feed one person for 30 days. One of these rods.
I'm going to break off a very small little bite and give it to her.
And he begins to break it off. It's very similar to like a caked sweet. And when he pulls it off and hands it to you, you can see that it has these tiny little, almost rock salt-like bits that are stuck to the outside of it. And it has a very, very sweet bread smell to it.
Laethana pulls out her bit of ale and the pretzel and takes them together.
It is the most delicious thing you have ever eaten. In terms of like something that is referred to as a ration. This feels like sweet and savory at the same time.
This is delicious. Red, you try some. She hands her the ale.
I'll take a sip and a real small bite.
And Red is taking a small bite because she remembers what happened to a companion who ate too much of this.
Yeah, really small.
And apparently, music has solved your problem of sustenance at the very least. At least as far as food is concerned. And as you've all been looking around this chamber, you can see that there are receptacles of what looks like water that are at various tables that are spread throughout this long, wide open air area. You can see that there are these mechanical constructs that have glass cylinders with this glowing water-like substance sloshing inside of it. And the librarian now looks to the three of you and says, "Well then, are we prepared to begin?"
I think we're ready. Music, can you help us as well with filling out this giant stack of forms? And isn't it like taller than Laethana?
Yes. Laethana now regards what looks like nearly symmetrically stacked rectangular plates, stacked like books, from the ground all the way up to her head. And
oh, wow.
A little orb-like creature with a central eye, mechanical creature, comes waddling towards the two of you and looks at the stack, or excuse me, the three of you. Looks at the stack, looks at each of you, and now very quickly, like pulling a Jenga tower, grabs one of the stacks and yanks it out with all of its might, and is now holding it in front of it and has its hand hovering over it and expectantly looking at the three of you. And the librarian says, "No, you don't have to fill this out here. You can find a table to your liking over there. We have plenty of tables free and available to researchers and petitioners alike."
Thank you. We can. We'll have a seat over here. Thank you, and we'll just go ahead and start. Red, music, are you with me?
This one is with you.
Okay. So you watch now as a series of these little constructs are now grabbing and carrying the plates over their heads towards a table that you designate is the area where you wish to perform this. And there's these very, very comfy plush chairs, swivel chairs that are set up at the table for each of you. They have excellent lumbar support, high backed. They look like they can recline as well if you want to take a nap.
Nice.
And the little Modron with the big eye is now staring at all of you expectantly, its hands still hovering just above the first plate. And it looks at you and says, "Are you ready?"
Yes, we're ready to go.
Okay. And at first it asks for your names, and you don't have to go around and round robin do that if you don't want to. And then it asks you what your purpose for visiting the library is.
Red, what is your purpose?
This one is Red Sharpclaw. I would like to know about the shifter communities and why they are heading east to the churning chaos.
And the little creature looks at you, and you can see little beams of energy are coming off of its thin metallic fingers, and it seems to be using light to write into the surface of this plate as it records your name. And it looks, it nods, and then looks up at you, and it says, "Do you have a subject that you wish to pull information for? A being?" And the little creature says, "There's no limit to what you wish to petition. Now, of course, depending on the individual, when they lived, might take much longer to find that information."
This one then wants to know about the Overmind.
Overmind. Okay. And you can see now it's writing, continuing to write very quickly. "Is that all? Oh, this is going to be a short one."
What about the mind flayers?
Mind flayers. Did you have an individual? A specific being?
No.
Okay, that may take longer. Anything else?
Red, do you have anything?
Nothing else.
I am Laethana Oisha, and I have a couple of things. First is the history of the Dalkorai's occupation of our plane.
And looks to you and says, "Do you have a subject?"
A person? A being?
Yes. Kind of.
And the eye is just sort of staring at you, and then sort of hovers from the plate and then back up to you again.
What is Laethana's uncle's name again? I forget.
Laethana's uncle?
Yeah. Her, no, not. Tamir's uncle.
That would be Victoro Castellanter.
Victoro Castellanter.
And, of course, you would also know, also known as Cassiel Anter.
That.
And the little creature now looks at you and then begins to scribble with light. Once again, little beams of light zipping and zapping out of its fingertips.
Also, if there's any footage connecting the Overmind with...
Hold on.
the guy.
And he's continuing to write. As soon as you mention the name, because Victoro Castellanter and Castellanter, he is writing furiously. And then he stops and he starts whispering in another language to the other little construct creatures. And he says,
"We're gonna need more plates."
and then he turns back to you and he says,
"Overmind. That one asks for the overmind."
Yes, if there's any connection with Victoro and the Overmind.
Okay.
And then there's a couple of people that's looking for their last known location.
Okay.
Zara and Nicholas Highhill.
Looking up personal history of Zara and Nicholas Highhill. Okay.
Samael.
Oh boy, I'm gonna need more plates. Bring me more plates.
continues to look at you expectantly as he's writing this down.
Also, how does a mortal achieve immortality? That was a request from one of our friends.
And he looks to you, and then he looks around and he goes,
Name?
Well, actually, you know what? I changed that one. If anyone...
He looks at you and he says, and he takes the plate that he's currently writing on and he bends it over his knee and he throws it and grabs another one.
Personal history...
Hold on, I gotta write all the stuff that you just asked me. Okay, I'm ready.
Personal history of Stormbringer. Something Stormbringer. What was his name again?
Theowen?
Yes, Theowen Stormbringer, and less known, or just whole personal history would be great.
And you see his pupil now widens a bit. He goes,
one moment.
and he turns and he starts whispering to the others in another language. You just hear, he turns back.
That one will be difficult. Those committed crimes against Donvi, their records are usually sealed.
I see. Well...
But we can certainly try. We'll see what
Thank
happens
you.
when you pick a researcher.
That's all I can ask for. Thank you.
What about you?
And he turns to music. And he turns back and looks at you, Laethana.
If you're done, that is.
Two more things.
Okay.
It's okay. Another request from our friends. Where the spear is located to reappoint Zephyr. What was that thing called again? Because I'm sure Laethana remembers, but Sabrina doesn't.
That would be the spear known as Vindsif.
Vindsif spear, where the last place or last person who had that.
And he looks at you and he says,
Name?
Not sure.
Okay.
and he starts writing furiously.
Next.
Music, your turn. I have one more, but give me a second.
And music,
Sure thing.
you turn all of these constructs that are about as high as your calf, and they're looking at you expectantly now. And one of them is holding the plate. The others seem to be like lifting him up on their shoulders, so it could be meet your eye line as best as it can.
Ha! My name's Music.
Music.
And he furiously scribbles.
There's only 5 letters. What all are you writing?
And he turns and it points it to you, and you just see 00110010010001110.
Oh, never mind. I don't speak that language.
And he flips the plate around again and continues to hover his hand above it, and you can see light zipping and zapping off of the fingertips. Expectantly waiting for you.
Okay, so just out of character for a second, we can ask this guy to look up anything?
Essentially, the group can fill you in if you want them to. This place is essentially an endless library, an archive where the deeds of every being that has ever existed is stored.
Okay, and she's our...
Sorry, you all came here to gain access to the archive to get information that will help you all. So right now you're here petitioning the library to allow you to have access to information.
This is only for specific beings. It's not just information in general.
No, this is a place that is a receptacle of the lives of every being that has ever lived on every plane of existence.
It's like an FBI. What did you call it?
It's like the CIA. It's like the fantasy CIA, a database on every being that's ever lived. It knows everything that you've done, Music.
Really?
And they know everything about all of you, essentially.
Okay, that just real quick, because I'm forgetting some names, and I have to go through like 8 months of history to find these names in my messenger here. That giant warship we saw on the astral plane, the giant flying fortress that was coming towards us.
Yes.
What was the guy who ran that?
That would be your former employer, Mordekash.
Mordekash. And that would also be the same guy that Vrax saw last I played. It's Vrax, correct?
Yes.
I would like to know everything on him, including strengths, weaknesses, and how he can be defeated.
Okay. The little Modron, this little monodrone, is furiously writing now as you're dictating to it. And when it finishes, it looks to you and says,
Anything else?
And yes, I would just like to know any more information available on the nature of my spontaneous planar transference.
Not sure I understand. Name?
My name is Music.
You want
Matter of fact,
you want your history?
but only things related to planar travel.
Shit.
it yells out, turns around, and whistles. There's this tinny whistling noise. And 3 more of these little orb-like constructs run up, and it begins speaking to them, whispering in a hushed tone, like,
That's a whole other process. Personal information is not usually given out to individuals from the archive. You'll have to ask a researcher once you've petitioned one to gain access to that information.
Oh, never mind then. I'll figure it out myself. But yes, all the information on the other guy, please.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm also interested in Samael's fate, so just make sure you double up on that one.
Okay. And
That would be all.
if there, you said you had more that you wanted to add, Laethana?
Yes, I have one more thing.
Okay.
Personal history of Danan and Amia Aisha Antar. They are my children.
Okay. And it begins to continue writing on, grabs a plate from a stack that it was writing on previously for you, and begins writing on it, continuing to use light to burn text into this metal plate. And when it finishes, it looks at you and says, "All done. Anything else?"
And that's
And the little construct creatures are looking expectantly to each of you.
This one has nothing else.
And the
Like, would I know actually any specific names of a shifter that had left to go east? Any of the missing ones?
you would know about possibly a few. You would know about one of your former close friends, an individual who was nicknamed Knucklehead, which is one of the individuals that was one of the best players of the full contact flag football like sport that you all played in Heartham. His name is Ramis. He's not been seen in a long time.
So I'll add him to the list. This one would like to know of the shifter Ramis.
And the little monodrone continues to write on the plate, and once he is completed, it says, "All right, we just need to get these filled out in triplicate, and we need you to select researchers. You may select one, or you may select one for each of you."
And just to refresh our memory, there are 3 kinds of researchers.
Yes. And he points to himself and to the other modrons that are milling about in this area. You can also select a celestial or a devil.
Construct, celestial, or devil.
And he points off in the distance. You can see a gentleman with long, flowing brown hair, and he's wearing white robes, and he has a pair of wings tucked behind him, currently just sort of tucked back. And you can see that he's standing near a library stack about his height. He's a very tall, imposing individual, and he has a scroll of paper in his hand, and he's writing. And then the little modron now gestures on the other side of the hall, and you can see now what appears to be a female, also with wings, but these wings are of a grayish black feathers. And this one is wearing this dark reddish black armor. And that one is currently seated in a chair reading a book. And you can see these winged reddish creatures that are scampering all about. And some of them are flying around in concentric circles above this individual's head. And you can just see that occasionally one gets too close and she bats it away.
Red, music, who would you prefer?
This one thinks it may be faster if we each had our own.
That's fair. What type do you think would be best for your research? What construct, celestial or a demon?
Not demons, devils. There's a difference.
Devil. I'm sorry.
Don't ever call a devil a demon. And when he yells that out, and across the hall, you can see with your passive perception, Laethana, that individual who's reading the book suddenly closes the book and looks in your direction.
My most
and
gracious
starts to stand up, stretches her wings, and begins striding over towards your table.
Well, this is going to get interesting.
This one thinks the devil would make a great research for me.
And the individual now getting closer to you, getting closer to your table, you can see appears to be a beautiful and striking female, wearing these horns that arc out and curve up on this helmet. She has ruby red lips and these crimson eyes. And she has a lasso that seems to be made of this electric blue light curled at the side of her. And it looks
Considering the nature of...
Looks like this.
Ooh.
And she strides up towards all of you and smiles. And her eyes just sort of narrow and on you, Laethana. And says, "Well then, I don't believe I've had the pleasure."
I am Laethana Aisha. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
I'm sure. I'm Lizette. Did I or did I not hear you say something untoward about my kind?
You did.
And why would you say something like that?
I would like to step in. Excuse me. She doesn't have any experience with any type of outsider whatsoever, and she is unaccustomed to your ways and also unlearned in the meanings of certain things that she says. You'll have to forgive us, and I offer you my humblest of apologies.
Well, I don't have to forgive you, but I don't know either of you, so what kind of a host would I be, or researcher potentially, if I didn't, at the very least, attempt to understand all of you? So, let me be clear. I will forgive your slight against my kind for the time being, in the hopes that perhaps we can work together.
Music? Do you have a preferred research?
Considering the nature of our research and that we're looking for a lot of vulnerabilities in our research, I honestly think that this person here is the exact type of person we need to take care of our research.
Lovely.
I agree. Pretty much everything that I'm researching has some kind of... And she kind of gives a side eye. Some type. I don't know how to say it right, but less
one
than
thing.
good intent. Not intent, but cause of why we are researching to fix the bad thing. And now she's flustering a little bit.
Basically, everything we're requesting is going to have a benefit towards us.
And as you continue to talk, Laethana, you feel something bump up against your leg.
She looks down.
Oh, when you turn and look, you see this looking up at you.
you see this squat, two-legged creature with what looks like a shark fin, a reversed shark fin on its back, pointing straight up. You cannot see any sort of eyes, but it has a row of razor-sharp teeth and a long, pointed tongue that comes out, and it's slobbering, and its tongue sort of begins to wrap around your foot like it's tasting your shoe, your boot.
You said your name was Lizelle?
Lizette.
Lizette.
Is this your pet? It probably doesn't like to be pet, right?
That's just chicken, love.
Is it your chicken?
No. They infest this place. And she now gestures out. You can see, looking around this grand area, you can see now that occasionally chairs which are next to tables move slightly, and you can see more of these little creatures that are scampering about. And all of a sudden, one of them like leaps up in the air, and that shark fin splits, and blood spatters all over the ground as it begins to flap and attempt to fly. And it goes a few feet before touching down onto its chicken-like legs, and you can watch as this shark fin slaps back together. It appears to be bisected right down the middle, like a disgusting set of wings. Well then, now that we have become acquainted, what were your names again?
This one is Red Sharpclaw.
Red Sharpclaw. Charmed. And you? And she gestures to you, Music.
Yes.
And now back to you, Laethana.
Laethana Aisha.
Aisha, I like that. Well then, were you interested in petitioning me as a researcher?
Yes, please.
Well then. Have you finished your forms?
She looks over at the construct.
And the construct looks at you and just nods its head no. Like it wants nothing to do with this conversation with this creature.
We have a ways to go.
Well, that's too bad. But don't fret. I could keep you all company until you're finished. How much time do you need? And she now looks at the little Modron. The Modron says, "It'll take a little under a week. Lot of subjects."
Well, hey, while we're sitting here waiting on them to do that, we were actually requesting information on somebody you might be familiar with. Do you know of a person by the name of Samael the Reaper?
Samael. Nope, I can't say that I have any recollection of that person. I'm so very sorry.
Oh well, I
But
thought it might be a topic of your interest.
But perhaps you can ask my friend. And she now gestures towards an individual who is off in the distance, just sort of appears out of the chair. And this individual is almost the exact same shape and demeanor of this one. But it has these lighter copperish tin colored clothing, jet black wings, a headdress that arcs up, and it's holding a scythe. It looks like this.
What is that? A seraph of death?
And it begins to stride over towards the three of you with Lizette. And you hear this demure sounding voice coming out of its black lips. Lizette, are you finished playing with mortals? I grow tired. And Lizette looks to each of you. Oh no, these are my new friends, especially this one. Laethana Aisha it was?
Yes, that is me.
Laethana Aisha. Such a lovely name. I apologize. This is my very good companion, Avarian.
Well met, Avarian.
How quaint. You found pets. Nice to meet you all. Lizette, are you done? And the winged individual, armored winged individual, now looks to the three of you and says, well, once you're done with your forms, you can find me around the library. And I'll be ready. And I'll have the details if you decide that you would like to employ our services. Toodaloo. And the winged individuals now, with a mighty beat of their wings, lift themselves up into the air and begin flying off into the distance, becoming specks within a very short period of time. We're very fast. And you watch as they zip past a flock of Pegasus, and the Pegasus immediately start freaking out the moment that they zip past, nearly clipping a few of them.
You know, it's ironic that they used to be angels at one point in time, or at least that's the rumor.
Well, that I guess makes sense. Maybe.
And as you're speaking, you hear someone clear their throat behind you. Excuse me. Are you all right? I couldn't help but look what was going on. And as you turn around, you can now see the white-robed, winged individual who is over on the other side of this common area.
Oh yes, we're totally fine. I've dealt with lots of devils before.
Well, be that as
I
it
wouldn't
may,
brag about that.
I'm quite certain that being in the presence of a Death Pact angel is not something that you will soon forget.
Yes, very memorable. Now about these forms, yeah, I'm happy to continue them.
Okay. Do you guys have anything else that you want to discuss, or do you want to pass time to get all those ready to go?
Yeah. I think that's fine. What do you think? Music?
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Okay. Meanwhile, at the World Serpent's Inn, Zeedo and Eli are having the time of their lives, drinking the finest drink and eating the finest food. And they nearly have everything that they need to begin their projects. And over the course of a week within this place, you are all able to begin what you need to do. Zeedo and Eli beginning their projects in proper. Zeedo, you're able to get everything that you requested. So do you, Eli. The forms are completed within 5 days, actually. So Red, Laethana, and Music, the little Modrons come to you now, and they have essentially cartloads of these plates on these. There are these floating carts. Looks like a library cart on 4 wheels, but this one is floating. There are no wheels on it. And the little Modron now looks to you all. After a week, it has been a week, and it says, good morning. Are you ready to go? Did you pick a researcher?
Yes, we have chosen Lizette. She's an actual, like, accredited researcher here, just making sure.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Everyone here is ratified a certified researcher, no matter their origin.
Okay, just making sure she wasn't like, oh, I'm a researcher, haha, and then be like, no, I just went to, you know.
And
Anyways.
the little Modron just sort of stares at you.
Yes, what do you have for us?
All of your requests were approved. It will take some time, but your researcher should be back within 2 weeks.
Okay.
Might take less time if you talk to your researcher. What did you say their name was?
Lizette.
Lizette. Okay. I will summon her. And there is a fluttering, a sound of the beating of many wings. And as you all look up in the air, instead of seeing the Pegasus that you've been accustomed to now, you see insect-like creatures that descend down from above. There are 4 of them. And on the 4th, you see Lizette wearing her armor, resplendent, her wings tucked back behind her, as she is riding on the back of this giant wasp. They are identical to the 3 others, which now drop down within this common area, and the wings are slowly fluttering, their mandibles are clicking together, and Lizette slips and slides off of the back of this creature.
Laethana, if they start bugging you too much, tell them to talk to me. I got this.
Oh no, I'm fascinated by them. I'm just, like I said, I'm the type of person, I'm only comfortable being around them if I know exactly how to kill them if I needed to. Yeah, I've never done that with the devil, so.
They don't die easily.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if we could kill them.
And so Lizette has now slipped off of this giant wasp. And she looks at each of you and says, well, I see we're all ready. Your forms are ready, I take it?
This one's form is done.
Yes, they're completed.
Well then, shall we? And she gestures towards the other 3 wasps. You'll need, of course, a mount if you want to follow into the archive. As my little assistants.
Well, thank you. I'm not going to mount up. Will your friend be joining us today?
And she looks to you, Music. She says, oh no, she's not coming. She's busy taking care of a client.
Oh, well, I'm sure that'll be pleasant.
And Lizette now looks at all of you and says, "Well, are we ready? I hope you packed enough to eat. This might take a while."
Yeah, we've packed plenty.
And at this point, she is looking at the little modrons, and she begins talking to them, steps away from you all to allow you all to conversate while she speaks to them. And you can see that they have been loading the plates onto your wasps.
Well, guys, we ready for this?
This one is ready.
I'm ready to go.
And Lizette strides forward. It's almost like skipping now, and puts an arm around you, Laethana, and says, "That is so lovely. It's been so long since I had a chance to have research assistance."
Research assistants?
Well, yes, you have so very many interesting subjects to look up. It would take me ages to find it on my own. But with your assistance, I'm sure that we can gather that information very quickly.
Well, thank you. I'm very confident in your ability. And she just kind of smiles.
She's got her arms still around your shoulders, and she leans into your neck and whispers into your ear, "Have you ridden a hell wasp before?"
No, but I have ridden on a giant fly. It's probably similar, maybe.
Oh. So, it's not your first time, eh?
On that part, no. Nope. But I've done many things in my life, but I'm sure you already know all of them, because I'm sure you've already researched everything we've ever done. You know, that, because you would do that.
Oh, well, that would be telling, dear.
Can Laethana get a read on this?
You can make an insight check on her if you like.
Try to figure out man, what does she want?
Oh, she's very evil, I can tell you that, without even doing any type of insight.
Yeah. That's a natural one. The breath on your neck as she speaks closely into your ear, this bit of uncomfortable to you familiarity that she seems to have on you with the arm around your shoulders. She's not been displaying this towards your companions. She seems to be focused solely on you. But she seems to be raring to go to get this research begun. And she now lets go of you and heads over to her hell wasp and mounts it. They have all been loaded now with all of the plates that the Modrons collected and brought to you all. And the individual now says, "Well then, are we ready to go?" The librarian already knows that you're coming with.
I'm ready.
Well, then, let us be off then. And with a quick beat of its wings, this wasp flutters its enormous, semi-transparent, membranous wings, and it begins to lift up off of this common area. And are you all mounted on yours?
Yes.
In unison, your hell wasp lift up. You're all seated on its thorax, and you can see that there is a molded saddle on each of them, which makes it easy to have yourself set up on its back. The rear of the saddle has a raised area that when you begin to lift up into the air, it clasps around your waist like a seatbelt. And the creatures suddenly rocket up, arcing up over the common area, following after Lizette's Hellwasp, as you all begin heading toward the Grand Canyon-like endless series of monolithic stacks that seem to stretch off forever. And you all begin to zip, following behind as Lizette suddenly, at a hairpin turn, ducks down one of the honeycomb levels of this place, and you all find yourselves whipping along. The wind is blasting past you. You're hearing strange, odd sounds all around you, and you can see more mechanical beings that are wafting in and out. The wasps narrowly dodging a few of them that are coming in the opposite direction as you're following after Lizette. And after quite some time, Lizette leads you to a section of the archive which has an area which is set up like similarly to the common area, but much narrower. This expanse between two series of stacks, you can see more of those carts which are spread out on these narrow pathways on either side. And Lizette touches down on what looks like a platform, which is essentially a landing pad, if you will, a small landing pad, and gets off of her Hellwasp and then begins to unload the plates off of it. And she calls out to each of you and says, well, we're going to need to load those. If you could all be a dear and assemble all of them onto the carts one by one, and we'll begin loading them into the receptacles. And you can see now there are these stations. The walls of this area where these narrow pathways are connected to seem to stretch up forever. And as you look over the edge of the rail, you can see a hazy, misty area with like a long, glowing, metallic cable that seems to stretch off into the distance for what seems like to the horizon forever. And you can see that these library shelves, if you will, that you can see, they don't seem to really have books per se. You see shafts of light that stretch up, seemingly forever to the top of each of these sections of these stacks. And you can see these receptacles now that Lizette has gestured towards. They are what resemble nodes, raised tables almost, with these rectangular openings that you can place the plates into. And she looks to each of you and says, you can begin feeding those into the receptacles now. This will take some time. See, I knew that if I had brought you all along, this wouldn't take long at all. I do say that it will take some time, but it would have taken much longer if I would have had to have taken... It would have taken me 4 trips.
And then I would start to help.
Okay. And you were all beginning to feed the plates into the machine?
Yes.
And you can all see that there are receptacles scattered all around near the walls. So you all have your own space to work if you wish to do so instead of crowding around one. Lizette is not loading any of them. She just sort of puts her hands on her hips and looks off towards the Hellwasp and makes a few clicking noises, and you watch as the Hellwasp lift up into the air and fly off. I wouldn't want those to get damaged. We will need them to get back. I can't possibly carry all of you. And as she says that, she continues to look off in the distance, turning and looking left and right, up and down. over the edge of this narrow path as you all continue to load the documents into the receptacles. It's tedious, long work, but eventually you're able to get the majority of these plates loaded. And that's when you all start to hear a strange noise. Sort of like sounds like the sound that a tornado makes, like or a vacuum cleaner, a really loud vacuum cleaner. And Lizette now turns and looks to all of you, and she kind of squats down, like almost instinctively, and she says, "Shh, shh, shh. I was afraid of this." And she turns and looks to the three of you. "I've caught one of your scents." And she now spins and looks at you, Laethana. And she begins staring at you, and she says, "You. It's after you."
Well, usually I'm the one going after other people. What?
You can hear now the sound of beating wings as this enormous creature dive bombs past the narrow platform that you're all on, and I need you all to roll initiative.
Oh my gosh.
All right, I guess I'll roll initiative for her too. All right, I'm going to share a map with you guys. If you'd be so kind as to place yourselves on the map where you would be. And of course, you can see the expanse to the north and to the south. Those are the narrow pathways. The edges of the map are essentially the walls stretching up seemingly forever. That misty area there that's between, that is the expanse, the drop, both vertically and heading up and down. You can see in the distance far below through the mist that thick wire that's illuminated by lighting. And you can see crackling energy coming off of it. You can't really gauge how far away it is, though. Seems like it might be really far away.
Okay, wait. What is that center thing again?
It appears to be a cable of some sort, which is very, very far below you all. You can just make it out through the mist.
Okay.
Lizette called it a data line.
What I'm currently standing on is ground, just making sure.
Negative. What you're currently standing on is mist. You are in an open air.
So
those little the little platforms that are stretching out, those are the landing pads on either side.
Okay.
So basically what I'm saying is, which side were you all on? The northern side or the southern side?
Northern.
Northern? Okay. We'll go ahead and say that Lizette was standing right here. And that's where you guys want to be?
It's as good a place as any.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Everybody's rolled an initiative. And there's that rush of air as this long, dark thing with wings zips past all of you. You had a split second to get a glimpse of it, but you couldn't really get a good look of it. And then it's off. It's gone in the mist again. It seemed to go down. And Lizette turns around and is looking all around her now and begins to pull out a sword from her side.
How dark is it in here?
It's not pitch black, if that's what you're asking. You're not in total darkness. There are illuminated globes everywhere. There seems to be an ethereal glow that seems to come from the mist below, and of course the track, that long data line, is illuminated as well. And it is your turn, Laethana.
Is there anything to hide behind?
Looking around, not really. The carts are about waist high. Those are carts that are spread throughout. Those little rectangular things. Similar to the carts that the Modrons use to load those plates onto the Hell Wasps.
She will crouch behind a cart.
Okay, you want to roll a stealth check? Is that what you're doing, using your action, or are you holding your action?
She will hold her action. She'll grab out her repeating longbow of Zeedo.
Okay.
And she will cast Hunter's Mark on Lizette.
Okay. You're gonna shoot her in the ass, aren't you?
She'll hold an action.
She might like it. Music, it's your turn. You just saw something like fast as hell just zip past, and Laethana tucked and rolled behind one of the carts, is now squatting down, pulling out her bow.
Let's see here.
Meanwhile, Eli and Zeedo are having the time of their life.
Yo, man, you want more smoke? This stuff's good.
I will hold my turn.
Yeah, I think you have a problem.
I've never seen anything like it in my life. I feel enlightened.
Red, it is your turn.
Yeah, I guess with nothing near us, I would just hold an action to attack if it comes within melee range of me.
Okay. On Lizette's turn, she has already pulled her was in the action of pulling her longsword, and she now begins to she look around and looking at each of you, and she says, "Time to see what you're all made of."
I'm made of metal.
And are you all taking your actions? You're going to lose your held action. We're going to another round.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, Laethana, it's your turn again.
Laethana will whisper in her ring and to Eli and Zeedo. And then just say, Eli, Zeedo, Laethana, just so you know, we're about to fight some crazy flying thing in the Eternal Archives, so, just in case. But, just in case we die.
That's a lot. That's a lot to say. That's going to take your... if you're going to continue to have a long conversation into your ring, do you want to do anything else in your turn or hold an action? We'll say speaking into the ring was a few words is essentially your free interacting with the environment.
Okay. She holds her action.
Okay. All right. You all begin to hear this sound as suddenly this blur of metal, all angular, with a long spiked tail, an elongated face as this thing suddenly lunges up out of the mist, blasting up. Its wings unfurled, and its mouth is a cylinder of sharp, razor-sharp teeth, and it looks like this, but with wings. Like a metal, draconic, panther-like creature. And as soon as it blasts up out of the mist and begins hovering in place, its mouth opens up impossibly wide, and its insides are turning, and there's this feeling of air rushing towards it. Let's see. It's oh gosh. Oops. They set there again. Okay. I need music. Red and Lizette will also make this. I need you all to make dexterity saving throws. Okay.
Nice.
All right. So you are all sucked towards this thing, and you begin skidding across the railing. Music, you are nearly lifted up in the air off of your feet, but you managed to stand your ground as this thing appeared to be trying to suck you into its mouth. And you could see in its mouth this rotating rows of razor sharp teeth as it was appearing to try and... Oh, I need to roll for Lizette, don't I? Well, shit, she failed. Lizette, you all watch as she suddenly gets shot through this thing and out the back of it. And you all just hear the sound of metal grinding as it is sucked through its mouth, and she is spat out the back of it, and she goes tumbling out of sight. I just need to drop some damage on her.
At the reaction, can I cast Featherfall on her?
You have your reaction.
Then I will cast Featherfall on her.
Okay. Lizette gets... you just all watch as she goes through into its mouth, and you just watch as she tumbled end over end on the inside of it, and it spat out the back of it. So we'll say you're able to... what's your range on Featherfall, your spell?
30 feet.
Yeah, you're not in range, unfortunately.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Sucks to be her.
All right. And Red, it's your turn. Oh, wait, I forgot. This thing has movement. It is going to deposit itself right next to you, Music.
Can I take my held action?
You no longer have your held action, actually. This is a new round. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. You do have your held action. I was thinking of the held action you had beforehand. So, yes, you may take your held action, which is a single attack.
Okay, I will shoot it.
Okay. That, unfortunately, is a miss. As your repeating shot arrow bounces off its carapace, harmlessly bouncing away. You can see it's now it seems to be, it's in front of Music, but it seems to be looking straight at you. No eyes, just a mouth of rows and rows, like a shark's mouth of razor sharp teeth that are rotating within its throat. And Red, it is your turn.
All right.
Guys, remind me, it's been a while since we had a fight. I believe, held action, you only get one attack, correct, on a held action?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll move up to the predator.
Okay.
And I'll go in recklessly.
Reckless.
With my...
Are you also raging?
Oh, not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Unfortunately, your first attack is a miss.
Damn. Well, I'm going to try again.
Okay. That is a hit, though. 23 hits as you carve into this creature's body. And it takes 14 slashing magic damage from you.
Now I'll rage.
Then you'll rage. Okay. I have activated your rage.
And that's it.
Okay. On Lizette's turn, she is not falling. She looks around, and she is going to snarl and beats her wings and flies over, hovering just next to this creature. We'll say she's... it's hard to say. We'll say she's going to be there so she can get advantage on these attacks. And she takes her longsword and begins attempting to carve into this creature's flesh with it. It's metallic flesh, if you will. Forgot to roll that with advantage, but it still hits. She cuts into the creature, dealing 17 damage to it. She then slashes again. This time I will remember to roll the advantage. And this time she misses, unfortunately, rolling a 19 to hit. And on her last attack, she will slash at it again. And this time she hits, dealing 7 slashing magical damage to the creature. And Music, it is your turn. You've got this big hulking creature that seems to fill this narrow passageway, this narrow walkway.
Oh, hell no.
That is unfortunately a success. It rolled a 19 against your save.
Oh well, I'll end my turn.
Okay. Music, it's your turn again. That is a 21. Another success.
Jesus.
Okay. Well, it didn't recharge its inhale, so that's good for you three. Let's see. Oh, why not? Music, as you're staring into the face of this creature, and you see it as well, Red, you watch as there is suddenly an aperture which opens in front of the two of you. You see a door in reality suddenly splits and opens up, and you are now looking at from behind Laethana as this thing goes through it. You're no longer, neither one of you are seeing it. You're now seeing the back of Laethana as it appears behind her and the door shuts. Lizette will take her attack of opportunity. Remind me, spellcasters, do dimension doors create attacks of opportunity if they pass through them?
I believe they do because the character has to move away from the person.
Okay.
What do you mean dimension doors? You mean if you dimension door away from someone?
Yeah, if it uses a dimension door, like for example, the Lizette is behind it, so she would get an opportunity attack. But the dimension door blocks line of sight, correct?
I don't know.
You know what? Go ahead and take opportunity attacks on them, all three of you, if you want. I'll allow it. That's a hit. As you deal 13 damage to the creature, Lizette will take her attack. She only gets the 1. She hits as well. She does 5 damage. Music, you can take an opportunity attack if you want to use that reaction, or you can save your reaction. Unfortunately, a 13 is a miss as your rapier pops out and you slash at nothing as the thing just manages to zip through this doorway it creates, and the doorway shuts. And Laethana, you are suddenly aware of it behind you. And it's your turn.
Okay. From what I can tell, is this thing a construct?
It looks to be made of metal.
Okay. If it's a construct, it's one of my favorite enemies. So,
Okay. Nice.
if I, well, she will use her bonus action to move her hunter's mark over
Okay.
to it. Okay. And she will use her sharpshooter ability to do some extra damage, maybe.
Get that extra damage. Well, keep in mind you fire your bow at disadvantage when you fire at short range, correct?
I guess.
Yeah, if you try to do a ranged attack while you're within melee range, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you fire at disadvantage.
Unless you have point blank shot.
Correct.
So let's see.
So yeah, you need to roll that again to see if you hit. If you're using your bow, that is.
Yep.
That unfortunately is a miss with your first shot.
Okay, she'll just straight shoot it this time.
Okay. That is a natural 1. I'm so sorry. You try to fire an arrow straight in its gob, and the arrow passes through its rotating throat and straight out the back of it, impacting something in the distance harmlessly.
And so it closed the door behind me? Is that what happened?
It created a door in reality, a dimension door, and then it walked through it to get behind you.
Lovely.
And then that door disappeared.
Well, that's all she can do.
Is that at the end of your
Let's
turn?
see, you know what? She's got... should have done that differently.
Aw.
Yeah. End of turn.
Okay. Derek's telling me that you don't provoke an opportunity attack when you teleport. Well, he wasn't really teleporting. This is a dimension door. This is like creating a door and then walking through it.
The Twitter said dimension door, and he said all teleports don't provoke an opportunity attack. This is Jeremy Crawford.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We went ahead and applied the damage to it anyway. That's okay. Laethana, that's the end of your turn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On Lizette's turn, she is going to fly as fast as she possibly can over to the creature. and again attempting to just wail on it with her longsword. Hitting it once, twice, 3 times a lady, managing to deal a considerable amount of damage to it. And Red, it's your turn.
Red will head up after it
Okay.
and try to attack recklessly. as
Okay.
always.
All right, that is a hit. A 24 definitely hits as you deal 21 damage to the creature.
And then I'll do it again.
Do it again, do it again. A 30 definitely hits as you deal 18 damage to the creature.
Nice. And I'm done.
Okay. Laethana, it's your turn. Your friend has rushed to your side. Your possible new friend stepping close to attempt to carve into the creature and fell it with you. And it looking like it's getting ready to open its mouth wider, like it's going to try to do that inhale attack again.
So, with the dread bite next to me, do I feel emboldened and more accurate? Wink, wink.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
So that's just it's advantage. So now it's just straight shot, right?
Just a straight shot.
Alright. She'll take another sharp shoot.
Go for it. 23 definitely hits.
Does it still have the hunter's mark?
I don't know. Did Hunter's Mark go away? It's concentration, isn't it?
Yeah, it's programmed weird. You have to drop it on every time you use it.
Let's take a look. Yeah, it's on it.
Okay.
Yeah, you already have it on there. There you go. Yeah, don't put it on yourself again because it's gonna do more double damage.
Yeah, I put it on.
Yeah. See, it.
Okay.
Okay, it should be good.
Oh, and actually that's plus 10 because sharpshoot.
Plus
Yeah.
10. So another 10 damage.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, got it. Manually added it for you.
And she'll do it again.
Do it again. That's a hit. A 20 definitely hits the creature as you manage to, once again, impossibly so, shoot this creature with an arrow, dealing 21 damage to the creature.
And that's the end of my turn.
Okay. On Lizette's turn, Lizette is going to zip around to attempt to gain... Well, can't really gain advantage, but she's gonna try to give Red some space. I'm gonna move you back a little bit, Red, so you're now within range, correct, with her. And she's going to wail on this creature, missing the first time, critically hitting it the second time, and then hitting it for a third time. She's hacking into it. Bits and pieces of it are falling off the side behind it. And Red, it's your turn.
Sweet. Gonna recklessly attack. Woo!
Ooh, that's a critical hit.
Yay! Does it have less than 100 hit points?
It does not.
Aw, darn it. Well then I'll just do it the old-fashioned way.
Okay. That's 32 damage to the creature.
And then I'll try to do that again.
And that's another hit. And another 18 damage to the creature. Like, you're hacking into it, you're carving armored plating off of its body. It's getting rips in its metallic wings.
And that's it for Red.
Okay, let's see if the Archive Predator gets its inhale. All it can do is try, right? Ooh, I rolled a 5. I need... Yeah, you guys are all in range. I need Laethana, Red, and Music to all make dexterity saves. As suddenly there is this feeling of the air just whipping behind you. Laethana, would you like to use a...
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead and roll your save again. Red, would you like to use yours?
Sure, I'll use mine.
Okay. So, Laethana...
It's actually 20.
I'm sorry, what?
It's actually 20. I forgot the modifier
What modifier?
for my deck save. On the reroll.
I'm confused. You'll have to remind me. It's been a while.
Oh, when I re-rolled with my inspiration,
Mhm.
I forgot to do a deck save. I just rolled a straight d20, so it's 18 plus 2.
Okay.
So
I'll allow
22.
it. I'll allow it, but ordinarily I would have you re-roll your save. So we'll say you had a 20. So you reach out and grab the very, very short banister, if you will, on the side. You manage to keep yourself from going, and you watch as Laethana goes "Wah!" and gets launched through this creature. Laethana, you feel yourself tumbled end over end through its body, and you're deposited on the ground. Your bow goes flying off. And you take... Uh, 32 slashing magical damage as you are just almost turned into salsa. Your armor is beat the hell up. All of your gear is tore up. Your bow has clattered off in the distance away from you. And you are currently prone.
Cool.
And Music, it is your turn. You just watched Laethana get sucked into like a literal living like garbage compactor. Like a
I've had
garbage
enough of this
disposal.
creature.
Okay.
I'm hexing the creature and providing disadvantage on its wisdom saves.
Gotcha.
And then for my action, I will be casting Eldritch Blast.
Go for it. That is a hit. A 20 definitely hits as Music, you hands splayed out. It blasts into the creature. Unfortunately, it seemed to be partially resistant. I get that splash of damage hits it, and it looks and turns in your direction for a moment. As it looked like it was getting ready to turn and look over towards the prone Laethana.
My hex didn't carry over to the second attack. I'm going to roll 1d6 for you real quick.
Go right ahead. If that's 2 more damage, I'll manually put it on there.
Thank you, sir.
And that's the end of your turn.
That is it.
Laethana, it is your turn. You're a bit discombobulated. You're prone. Your bow is far away from you. It actually looks like it's about to tumble off the side. It's half hanging over the side of the, just underneath the banister, this low railing on the edge here. And this creature is beginning to turn around in your direction and look at you.
If I reach to grab it, what is that, a bonus action?
No. It would be essentially you have been disarmed, so it would be part of your action to pick it up. So you can pick it up as you with your action you can then attempt to use it again.
Okay.
Right.
I will.
So it's currently listing, nearly tilting, about to fall off as you turn to look at it over the edge of the railing on the ground. It's within 5 feet, so you can reach out and grab it.
Alright, so I will grab it.
If you move to it, you're lying on the ground, so you can crawl to it and grab it, and then do half of your movement to stand up.
That's pretty much my whole turn, right?
Yeah.
Pick it up, stand up.
Like there's a solid wall where like 5 feet away from you. where the map ends, that's a solid wall.
Cool.
This thing is backing you into a corner.
Let's see.
You can also hold your action if you would prefer to keep things moving. But I would remind you, you are currently prone and in a bit of a dangerous state.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really do anything else, right?
Well, again, as part of your action to pick up your bow, and then you can fire it.
But then I have to stand up too, right? Because I'm prone.
Correct, you're prone, so half of your movement to stand up.
Oh,
and then you can
okay.
use your action to grab the bow, and then as part of your action of grabbing the bow, you can string an arrow and fire it. Again,
okay.
I could be wrong on that, but I believe that those are the rules for equipping an item, correct? You guys can remind me.
I have no idea. I think it takes an action to equip an item.
You're the DM. If you said that's the rule, that's the rule.
I say normally you have to use an action to change weapons by dropping a weapon.
Well, if DM approves, she's gonna shoot it.
I'll tell you what, because of the nature of this thing about to fall over the edge, you can use your action to attempt to save it from falling into the nothing.
Okay.
We'll make it interesting. Make an acrobatics check.
Oh boy.
At 22, as Laethana is, are you moving to the edge of the railing?
Yep.
Prone. Laethana, you move over to the very edge of the railing. I moved you for you. And you reach out just as it was about to fall into the nothing and potentially be gone. You grab your repeating bow in your hand. You now have half your movement. You can stand up if you wish.
Yep, that's what I do.
Okay, you're no longer prone.
Over the other corner.
Okay. And that's the end of your turn?
Yep.
All right. Lizette is going to now slide, stepping in front of this creature, almost protectively, is going to continue to slash into the creature. Or at least attempt to, missing on its first attack, missing on its second attack, but hitting on its last attack, dealing 9 damage to it. And Music, it is your turn again.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to be casting Dissonant Whispers.
Okay. It rolled a 22 to save against your Dissonant Whispers.
Damn. Alright. What kind of wisdom do constructs have?
This thing, you've never encountered this before. Whatever this thing is.
And that was with disadvantage, correct?
Let's see. Well, actually, it has advantage on saves, so that would have been a straight roll. So it would have failed. It rolled a 16.
Boom.
Nice.
It takes 0 damage, as it is apparently immune to some of that damage, and it partially resisted the rest of your damage.
Wow.
You just see this.
Took half damage to 0.
Yeah, it was 13 damage, and it went down to nothing. You just see that this spark of energy blast off the side of it, and it just seems to shake it off. Like it just sort of moves its shoulders. Would you like to do anything else?
No, I'm done.
You're done? Okay. All right. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is Red's turn.
Yeah. I'll attack recklessly.
Go for it. That's a critical hit.
Sweet. So above 100 hit points?
It is below 100.
Alright. He needs to make a Constitution saving throw.
Constitution saving throw, okay. It rolled an 18.
He passed.
Aw.
So I'll just do normal damage then.
Okay, so that's 28 damage, slashing magical damage to the creature as you carve into its back leg. And your second is also a hit. A 27 definitely hits. That's another 20 slashing magical damage to the creature.
And that's it.
Okay, let's see if it gets its inhale attack again. It rolled a 6. Lizette and Laethana must take another dexterity saving throw. Well, looks like Laethana saved. Unfortunately, Lizette did not. As you watch as Lizette is pulled through, once again through this creature, taking 42 damage and deposited on the ground behind it. She just sort of rolls to a stop prone on the ground, bouncing off one of the carts. Her sword goes ping, ting, ting, ting away from her. And it is going to take an opportunity attack from you, Red, as it rushes towards and crowds up on you, Laethana. That's a critical hit. It needs to make another save, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Con save?
Yep.
It rolled a 9.
Yay! It's instantly slain.
So,
body.
Laethana, as this mechanical being is rushing towards you, maw agape, rows and rows, shark-like rows of teeth rotating on the inside of it. You just see straight through to the hole. You suddenly see your barbarian friend looming behind it as she rushes forth and carves into, splitting it down straight down the middle. Its body now splitting in half. And you are all out of combat. Hooray!
Whatever soul that thing had is sucked into my sword now.
Oh.
Yeah, you see now that Red, her breath is heaving heavy as she's coming down from her rage, and you can see that one of the orbs on her sword is glowing faintly.
Laethana wheezes.
Lizette wheezes. And you each received 3,000 experience points for that encounter.
Woo!
So close.
Cool. How close are we?
Very close. You're like less than 2,000 experience points away.
Cool, let's kill Lizette real quick.
Is that what you want to do? You want to kill her?
I mean, if she's down.
She's laying on the ground currently, and her sword is away.
Don't we kind of need her, though?
I'm gonna go get her sword and take it back to her.
Okay. Yeah, you guys all are out of combat. She is currently pulling herself up, looking past the ruined remains of that creature and looking at you, Laethana, meeting your gaze. And she just nods and smiles.
Laethana gives a thumbs up, still heavily breathing.
A bloodied thumbs up. Laethana's the only one that really took any damage. Laethana and Lizette.
No damage.
Yeah.
And Laethana will step over the metal thing of doom and rejoin the party.
Okay. Lizette is still sitting on the ground. One of her wings apparently looks like it is very heavily damaged. Like an entire chunk of her flight feathers is completely gone. Like it got ripped out.
Red would go over to her and kind of like kneel down. This one does not understand. We were assistants. Why would that thing attack us?
Not you. Her. And she now points to you, Laethana.
What did I do?
Well, time to level up. Let's kill Laethana.
And she looks at you, Laethana, and she says, "You are marked by something. Something that would go to a lot of trouble to summon a steel predator and alter it. That was a steel predator. Do you not know what those are?"
Do I know what those are? I mean, I know constructs.
Make an Arcana check. I'll tell you what. No, we'll just make it a straight Arcana unless one of your friends want to help you. I like how Eli and Zeedo basically got a whole bunch of experience points for nothing. And they sat back and ate popcorn.
Smoked.
Whatever they're smoking is very enlightening.
Yeah. Eli gains +1 intelligence.
I ask music for help.
Yeah, sure, I'll help.
Advantage?
You can roll with advantage if he helps you. A 21. So you would know, because you are an assassin, that steel predators are merciless machines with one purpose only: to locate and kill a target regardless of distance and obstacles. And this one, apparently, according to Lizette, has been modified. Normally, these things are quadrupeds that are on the ground. This thing has been modified to have wings.
It had to come from a great distance.
And you would also know, with your 21, it is very likely that this thing was made here, on one of the layers of Donvi.
Well, shit.
This is a creation of the Modron, of the Mechanicus. But again, you don't know who sent this after you. You just know, according to Lizette, that you were its target. It seemed to be why it was continuing to try and inhale you over and over again.
Well, the faster we get this research done, the better. And maybe we'll have some answers. And she gives another thumbs up that's no longer super bloody.
You would also, again, you rolled a 21, Laethana. You would also know that these things, in order to make them, the things that make these on the Mechanicus layer need to be fed something that identifies its target, such as a lock of hair, a well-worn glove, or a much-used weapon. And Lizette now looks at you and says, "You've got trouble, girl. Something desperately wants you dead."
She gives a smirking smile. Don't we all?
No, I'm generally well liked.
Oh.
And she looks at you and she says, "Are you missing anything?"
She looks through her things.
And as you're looking through your things, you notice that one of your socks is missing.
That damn chicken!
Like, you do not remember, and when I say socks, you have traveling clothes, so you would have like a couple of pairs. One of the pairs is missing. As you go through your pack, you're realizing you just have a single sock in your pack. But it was one of your favorite pairs of socks.
Oh, it was the one with the little cutouts for the individual toes and everything. They took that from you.
Yeah.
They took her yoga socks, guys.
Those were the nice ones with the bunnies on them.
Yep. Little mirages. I guess they took a sock somehow, which is really creepy.
Lizette looks at you and says, well, on the bright side, this one's not coming back. And she gestures towards the ruined steel predator on the gantry, this walkway. And unless they have more of your items, they can't make another.
Are those things really hard to make?
Yes, a Hexton has to make it. And it can only be made if they have a personal item of its targets.
Craftsmen are usually proud of their creations. Maybe there's a maker's mark. Let's go tear it apart and see.
Ooh.
And she looks to you and says, don't bother. This one was custom made. And she looks at it and she says, you could ask someone from the Mechanicus lair to investigate and study it for you. Perhaps the Modrons back at the entrance to the library might be able to help you.
Wait, aren't we in a library that tells the history of all living things? Why don't we just look her up real quick and see who sent it?
Yeah.
Look who up?
Laethana. We'll just look her up and see who sent it afterward. Then we'll go pay them a visit and get that sock back and beat their ass.
You want to look up Laethana's history?
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Okay. And Lizette looks to each of you and she says, well, this is highly irregular, and you didn't see me do this, but
I bet they got...
And she pulls out a sliver of metal and she begins to say a few words, and text begins to appear in an arcane, angry, fiery, glowing text on this metal. And she hands it over to you, Laethana. As the metal cools, and you can see an illusory script has now embedded itself into the metal. And she says, that's your name. You can feed it into the receptacle.
Okay, and that's what she does.
Okay.
When we find out who did this, I'm making them drink the whole bottle of hero's blood.
So you wish to look at your history, correct?
Yeah, and she will let her friends look as well, because she's actually curious whether she actually remembers everything.
Lizette now gestures towards the wall, and as you fed that piece into the wall, she tells you to put your hand on the receptacle next to it. You can see a dome, like a glowing crystal ball.
I do as told.
And as you do that,
is so cool.
The wall becomes a view screen. And Laethana, you feel a bit of a piercing headache as suddenly there's this rush of information that this in multiple sections, all a kaleidoscope of individual points of your lifetime interconnecting. It's like watching a security feed of your entire life. And Lizette is looking and she just starts to chuckle a bit. Oh, you've been a bad girl. I like it. And she says, you're looking for something recent, specific, yes?
Yes, whoever sent that thing, maybe.
And she begins looking, and she says she looks and she's looking through it really fast. Like normally this would take ages to go through in someone's entire lifetime, but this is recent. And she begins to look at the very bottom of this view screen view, and she points to an instant recently on the material plane, and she says, that's funny.
it seems, and she reaches out with both hands and she does a motion spreading her hands out, and this tiny little image begins to pull up, and it's an image of you lying in your tavern bed back at Gutter Guts, fast asleep. And there's a little bit of movement in the background at the open windowsill next to your room. In your room, there's a slight crack of air to let the cool air into your room. Something tiny crawls through. A little furry creature plops down, and as you continue to watch, you watch as this furry creature disappears out of view for a moment, and Lizette begins manipulating. It's almost as if she's turning a movie camera and following. You just see this little furry creature, kind of resembles a mink or a ferret, and it goes into your pack. And you just hear rustling noises, and it suddenly zips out, carrying something, a wad of something in its mouth, leaps up onto the windowsill, squeezes through the very narrow crack of the windowsill to let in the cool air that night, and is gone.
A weasel built this contraption.
Smart weasel.
Very much so.
And as you're watching, the weasel pauses on the windowsill and is looking back through, as if you can see now that Laethana is starting to stir in her bed, like she's about to wake up, and the mink freezes in its place. And then it begins to shimmer slightly and elongate and get bigger. And you see Auri hanging off the side of the windowsill with your sock in her mouth.
Oh, shit.
And then she's gone.
Wow.
Disappears out of view.
I know you haven't. I know I haven't hung out with you guys very long, so if you want me to do it, I'll handle it.
That's so unlike her, though.
And Lizette looks and says, I can't even begin to comprehend what I just watched. Someone that you know? Someone close to you, perhaps?
Yeah, like she's been a traveling friend for the past couple months, and she's also my sister, kind of, that I grew up with, and we've never had anything but, well, we've had our issues, but recently nothing but goodwill, which is pretty strange.
This one has noticed Ari has been acting strange lately. Perhaps we should take a look into her history.
Ooh.
And Lizette looks at you, Red, and then looks back to you, Laethana, and she says, I have one more sliver. She reaches into her armor and pulls out another sliver of metal. That's it. If you want to look at something else, I won't be able to help you, other than what you've already petitioned. Is this what you are sure this is what you want?
Yes, we need to know before we kill a friend.
We might be able to see who she took it to.
Or who tricked her into it. I mean, we are all not strangers to people manipulating for their own sake. So, yes.
And you see her begin to... She says, what's her name? Do you know her full name?
Ariana?
Ariana? Last name? Of course, you guys would know this because she's shared it with you. Amastasia is her last name.
That.
Lizette now begins the same incantation she did before, and you see more script onto this piece of metal, super heated up as it's etched in, and then hands it to you. And she looks at you and she says, "Are you sure you wish to peer into this person's life? You say they're close to you. Once you go down this path, there is no returning. Some knowledge is not necessarily forbidden, but some knowledge can be detrimental."
Yeah, I know a lot of things that would be detrimental to most people. So, yep, that's fine.
And you can once again place the sliver into the receptacle. The wall once again becomes a viewing wall, and you can place your hand on the sphere to activate it.
I do as told.
Okay. And again, you're seeing pinpricks of light. There are very many little viewing areas that are populating, and there's so many of them. Some of them seem to be covered, though, in mist. And as you're going through each of them, Lizette is helping you to filter through them. And you're seeing when you first met Auri, and the time that you spent together, this grand adventure that you all went on, the quiet moments between you and her and the rest of the group. You can see her throughout this entire time with you all, laughing, coming out of her shell, becoming closer to all of you. You continue to go through your encounter with the vampire, encounters on the airship, going on this grand quest to the Shadow Marches. You see horrible moments where she is captured with Ender, taken onto this ship. You see a face of a visage of terror, a face that is almost a mask, glowing yellow eyes, mauve-colored skin, and of course at the bottom where the mouth would be, you just see hanging tendrils dripping down as this thing places a grub into her eye. You continue to watch her struggles, she and Ender breaking free from this place. You see now what was once described to you, but in grand, grotesque detail, their escape, blasting out of that ship, being helped by a dying beholder. You see her and Ender hand in hand, going back to their friends, meeting Red, saving her, continuing on down the river, encountering the tyrant and defeating it, encountering Harak, going into the astral vault. Once again, and Lizette is looking to you, and she's continuing to scan along as she's passing through, swiping her hand through these various moments. And then getting to Hartham, you see her walking around Hartham with you. And then that night when you all went to bed in Gutter Guts, you see Auri eating chocolate. You see her eating more chocolate, which was left her. She finds chocolate left on her windowsill, continues to eat it. And as she eats 4 of them, and then she begins speaking. And you can hear the soft noise of Zeedo snoring in the background as she is speaking in a low-lit room, the bedroom chamber, turned away from your view at the moment. Lizette begins to twist and move this image around, so you're now seeing her from the front. Auri is there, eyes wide open, tears streaming down her face, chocolate on her lips, and she's speaking and she's crying. And then suddenly her eyes close and she goes limp and her head goes forward, and you hear her say, She was mumbling gibberish before in some language you don't understand, and now you hear her say, I understand. I will do as you ask. Lord Castellanter. And then you see more images of her transforming into the weasel, going out onto the outside, squeezing through the small area, lifting up the window to get into your chamber, taking your sock, going out, and you watch as she transforms into herself down a dark alley. You see individuals in dark cloaks wearing leather armor, traveling cloaks. In the moonlight, you see Auri approach them. One of them begins moving closer, hands the sock over, and you can now see a trio of the Arcus Sisterhood. You can't tell who they are, but you recognize their gear, their traveling gear, which is impossible because you thought they were all gone. One takes the sock from Auri, and they step through a portal of light. The portal is gone, and Auri falls down to the ground in a fetal position and begins crying.
Damn! We don't see what happens to this.
Fast forward, you see her the next morning talking about she needs more candy. You see her at the Vaughn's Confections. You see her as a polar bear chewing on a giant hunk of chocolate underneath a tree. And Ender is nearby, just looking around, standing quiet. And then you watch as Ender takes her to Gutter Guts, takes her up to the room. Once she is turned from her polar bear form, shrinking down into her half-elven form, takes her up to her room, limp, picking her up, carrying her like a child, laying her down in her bed, putting the cover over her, closing the door, leaving her in her room by herself. And as she is laying in her bed by herself, she suddenly, after a few moments, starts awake, looking around confused, and starts crying uncontrollably, and starts saying over and over again in common, I won't let you hurt my family. Not again. Not again. And Lizette looks and she says, this seems to go on for quite a while. If you want to watch it, a young girl crying, it's up to you. And eventually you see that...
Should we not want...
You eventually see her leave the room. Lizette is like, do you want to keep going?
No, I think I've seen enough.
And you see, as she's saying that, it's playing behind Lizette, and you can see Auri is walking down the hallway, and she knocks on Ender's room, on his door. And you just hear her softly calling out, Ender? There's something wrong. And Lizette says, we apparently have caught up to the furthest that the archive is collected from this one. I can't even possibly imagine what you're going through learning this information about this friend of yours.
Well, it's not her fault.
And Lizette looks to you and says, cheer up, dear. You still have so much more to learn while you're here.
Ah, yes, and I'm already ahead of it. Victorio Castellanter's name is already on the slab, so
Okay.
yeah. But Laethana just kind of rubs her head and says, I think I need a bit of time to process. Ari, music, maybe you can... Oh, sorry, not Ari.
Ari.
Red. Red.
Ari walks out of the wall and says, yes. Just kidding.
Red, music, maybe you can go first in some of your research.
This one could go.
Okay, Red. What would you like to look up? You have your stacks of data slates that you can put into the receptacle.
I'm going to look up
You can look up
the Overmind. The Overmind.
the Overmind. And Lizette looks at the she gestures to the receptacle.
Go stick it in.
And as you place the plate into it, there is nothing for a moment. When you put your hand onto the domed sphere, the view screen begins to shimmer. And Lizette looks and says, "Oh no. This has been wiped. That's impossible. Only a member of the library could do this, or the Panopticon. This is highly irregular. I have no record of something called the Overmind. Or someone, I should say." Wait a minute. And she begins scanning back. And she says, "Not erased. Old. Incredibly old. Ancient." And she's moving her hands now. You can see now, it just looks like mist. It's like someone zipping through Netflix trying to find something to watch. And she finally comes across something. Here we go. This seems to have been the last known record of something called the Overmind. Something sealed away by the gatekeepers, apparently. And you can see now this grand battle between the druids of the gatekeepers and their allies, and you can see them fighting now aberrations around this twisted spike that is coming up straight up out of the ground, and there's energy and organic matter which is blasting out from it. And you can see this hulking creature which is in the just out of sight, which is caught in the light. You can see various appendages, tentacles. It appears to have multiple heads, and it has this creamy mushroom soup colored skin. And you watch as this thing is sucked into this spiral, and the spiral closes, sealed away.
I would turn. Red would turn to probably music. This one does not know much. But do you know what that spire is? Have you heard anything of that like?
You're asking Lizette?
Yeah, or music.
Or music?
Everybody.
It is common knowledge among the people of Eberron that the gatekeepers saved the world long ago, millennia ago, and that they did so by creating seals and sealing away these portals to Zoriat, which is the realm of madness.
Darn it.
Hey, Lizette.
Yes.
Your archives are definitely outdated.
Well, they're not perfect. They're not my archives. I just work here.
That's true.
So, if this is the last record,
There is only...
has it been trapped the rest of the time?
I would say dead.
I beg to differ.
If there's no further record, then it must be dead. Or it is beyond the sight of the panopticon.
Where would
Or
it
it's been
have to go
reborn.
to be beyond the site?
I'm sorry, you guys got talked over.
Where would it have to go to be beyond the site?
It could be using magic to shield itself.
It's a possibility it could have been reborn as something else or recreated itself somehow so it has a new identity. Maybe we're just looking for the...
And again, the archive is maybe incomplete for Overmind. I apologize. This is all I have. Everything before it seems to be just... And she's referring to the battle that sealed this thing away. It's just chaotic, incomprehensible, as if it was on Zoriat, which is really hard to decipher. Unfortunately, I am not, as you say, an expert on Zoriat. But the clearest part would be when it was summoned and then defeated. And guys, it is a minute past 10, so we can try to find an ending point if you like.
Yeah, I gotta go soonish.
Okay. Kevin, you said you wanted to say something? No, you got...
Oh, do you mean go ahead and ask her a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where?
You are cutting in and out, sir. I can't hear you. Yeah, you're just cutting in and out. I'm sorry. Can you guys hear him?
No.
No.
No, he's cutting him out.
We can hear you fine now, Jeremy.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're fine, Jeremy.
Did we lose Kevin?
Nah, I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
I had something sitting next to my receiver for my headphones. Apparently that's...
Oh, geez. Yeah, it's cutting in and out. Okay. We can move on to someone else if you guys want to have a last word before we break. If it's not able to work for you, I'm sorry, Kevin. I leave it up to you. Hello.
Hey,
No.
All right. If
Kevin wants to ask about Samael.
Kevin wants to ask about Samael.
Yeah.
Okay. So you feed your plate into the receptacle, and as you step forward, placing your hand on it, once again the view screen comes up, and you can now see this. Again, once this kaleidoscope of images, just like an expanse of tiles, and Lizette looks at you and says, "Well, this is very impressive." And she says, and she looks to you, Music, and wants to know, is there something particular you're looking for? And she looks and she looks through and she sees it. She scans through and she looks back to you and she says, not that far. Second star to the right, straight on till morning. He's on Shavarath. And you can now see an armored warrior on the back of a mechanical device with 2 wheels just roaring across a landscape, being chased by an army. And you just watch as he looks behind him with pulling a weapon out as one is coming up to the side of him and slashes out, cutting its head off in one blow. And Lizette looks to you, Music, and says, "Oh, he looks busy. But alive." Was that all? Okay. Lizette begins to looking at each of you. She's now picking herself up, straightening up her ruined armor bits. She looks and she says, "Well, we can call it for now if you like. We can summon the wasps and we can go back and we can take what we have found and you can go through it and we can return at another day. Or we can continue and push forward." She turns and looks at you, Laethana.
And I think a rest would be welcomed.
Well, I don't imagine that we'll have to worry about anything else coming after us while we're here. But again, this place can be unpredictable. It's up to you. I will protect you as well as I can.
Thank you.
And she looks to each of you as you pondering over this information that you've gathered, weighing heavy on you. The sound of the strange sounds all around you in the stacks. You stare off past Lizette, past your friend Red, towards the hulking, smoking construct that is ruined, not too far away from where you're standing now, wondering what is coming next. And that is where we're going to end for tonight.
Dang.
Oh my.
Woohoo! Aw. What's going on with Auri, guys?
Oh,
Evil.
no.
Kill her. Kill her.
It's not her fault.
It is. It's
No,
her
it's
fault.
not. I killed her parents. I mean,
So, should kill her too.
no. I didn't know I was doing it. But
And Laethana killed Ari's parents, so Ari gets a pass for this.
I mean,
Ari meets George soon.
no. She knows that her uncle is extremely manipulative, and I mean, under his name and his banner, Laethana has killed all those people that you guys got to see a little roll film.
You guys just watched essentially the greatest hits of Laethana as a murderer.
Yeah.
I mean, Lizette was zipping through it, like so you weren't really getting enough time to actually see the horrible things that were happening, but it was a lot of like arrows being plugged into people. A lot of blood being spilt.
A lot of like fancy parties in the background of people dying in hallways.
Nice.
So,
just so you know, though, the last lines that you saw was she knocked on Ender's door and said something is wrong. Ender's in on it too. We kill them both.
Or she's trying to get help in her situation. And she knows Ender's a strong boy.
It's not that simple, Eli.
No, this is Derek.
Derek.
Knowing what Jeremy would do.
Who's Derek?
How dare you, sir?